What is going on, everyone? Welcome back inside the janitor's closet for our week 15 Best Bets NFL show. Josh, only three more of these left after this week for the regular season. We were just talking about that. Don't blink, folks, because it's almost done. But while we're here, we are going to keep pumping out these plays for you folks, including two today in our Best Bet show, Josh, both with high price tags of 3 units.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like both of these plays, feel these are both strong plays, and we as I was just mentioning to you, we got a lot more kind of in the bank here that are right now kind of leans and plays that we like, but not enough necessarily to mark them as best bets. So as always, as we always say every single week, make sure you stay tuned on all of our other platforms because that is we are probably going to be sending out some more plays, including I want to say almost mark it as a guarantee that we'll for sure have something for Monday Night Football. But yeah, outside of that, we'll definitely have some more plays. Should be a busy slate for us, man, which is always nice.
Yeah, and those folks might have already some of these plays in their newsletter if they're subscribed to our free newsletter. You obviously send those plays out right when we put them in ourselves before we hop on the video, before we tweet out these plays. So if you want to subscribe to that newsletter, get it before those prices, those lines change. You can do that in the link in the description of this video, and then some other plays coming out on Twitter at TJC Bets and right here on YouTube every week for our weekly Best Bet show. You can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. We appreciate your support all season long, folks. We're going to end strong, as we always like to do. And we're going to start that, Josh, with two plays in week 15. Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals taking a trip to the Houston Texans, who've been playing some pretty great football these last couple weeks.
Yeah, two teams trending in different directions right now. The Arizona Cardinals, it feels like it might be heading for kind of an uglier type of divorce potentially with Jonathan Gannon. We'll see how that kind of shakes out toward the at the end of the season. And then the Houston Texans, they are making a charge toward not only the playoffs but that AFC South crown. And so let's see how this one shakes out. The play here, Bryce, is Houston minus 9.5 for 3 units. I like Houston in this spot. Able to cover a big number, mainly because of this defense. I've talked about it almost ad nauseum on this channel, how much when Houston gets at home, how much I like this defense and for them to do what they do. Last week, I liked Kansas City in the spot for Kansas City so much in prime time there against Houston. And Houston's defense came out and said, "No, we're not just a dome team out here, man. We're not. This defense isn't just a dome unit. We're capable of going traveling on the road as well." They go on a short week in Kansas City. And get that thing done in cold temperatures. And so now they return home against what is a significant step down in class against this Arizona Cardinals offense that they're going to be playing. Bryce, the reason why I like this as well, Arizona Cardinals move the ball through the air about as much as anybody in the NFL. They're second in the league in pass rate over expectation, only behind those Kansas City Chiefs. And so you look at the Houston Texans defense naturally and see, how does this team obviously defend the pass? We know that they're good. Well, Houston's allowing a league low 63.9 passer rating against them this season. Okay, quarterbacks they're eating quarterbacks alive this season. And that also drops to 62.8 when they're at home. So not only are they feasting on quarterbacks, but again, when this Houston team gets inside the confines of their home, inside that NRG Stadium, that dome, this defense turns into a different beast altogether. And so that's why I like the Houston Texans here. Arizona on defense. You look at the recent opponents. I like to always look at this. I talk about this a lot as far as recent opponents played. The Texans obviously would have covered this number 9.5 in their 20-10 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Arizona Cardinals, I know a lot of people want to talk bad about the Kansas City Chiefs these days. The Arizona Cardinals aren't on the same planet as the Kansas City Chiefs as it stands right now, still in the Kansas City Chiefs' current state. And so I like the Houston Texans if they come off of that, able to go and back at home here against a much inferior opponent to the Kansas City Chiefs. I like them to go get this done as well. You look at recent opponents for the Houston Texans. They hosted the Bills. They went on the road to the Indianapolis Colts, and then they just went on the road again to the Kansas City Chiefs. And so now you're talking about, as I mentioned, they're a significant step down in class for this Houston offense, which is beginning to find its stride. Don't get me wrong. Still some warts there, especially on the offensive line. But when I look at this team, I think that this team is going to be able to kind of cruise and roll. I just don't see on the other side. I just don't know if I see the path to success for the Arizona Cardinals offense in this game. Arizona Cardinals' recent opponents obviously were against the Buccaneers, the Rams. They just had at home and they got whooped by the Rams. But this is going to be kind of despite the Los Angeles Rams being a strong defense and even the Jacksonville Jaguars being relatively strong 2 weeks before that, this is a different beast in the Houston Texans that they're going to be going against. And so I don't worry about any kind of a backdoor cover here. I mean, the Houston Texans, like I mentioned off the top, they're fighting for this AFC South crown. They want to be strong from beginning to end in this game. They don't want to worry about. I don't worry about any kind of a letdown spot. There's no divisional game next week, which is kind of actually interesting for the Houston Texans. A lot of teams are playing divisional games this time of year. Houston Texans only got one more divisional game, and that's in Week 18 against the Indianapolis Colts left on the docket. So it's kind of interesting. They have some non-divisional games coming up over the next few weeks. But anyways, don't worry about a letdown spot here. I don't worry about them backdoor cover in this spot either. I think the Houston Texans, this is a prime spot for this team as a whole to kind of flex their muscles and give it to the Arizona Cardinals, who, like I mentioned, Jacoby Brissett is in all, kind of putting up some good numbers, some numbers that you maybe wouldn't expect for him to put up this season. But all in all, this is a Arizona Cardinals team that is going in the wrong direction. And like I mentioned, the morale around this team, there's a funny feeling, especially when you talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. Still isn't practicing, and I'm not doubting that he's hurt, but it's just it's kind of a funny little story what's going on there in Arizona as to whether or not this is. Does Marv want to play football right now, for example? You know what I mean? There's questions around that. As far as injuries go, the Arizona Cardinals Houston's relatively healthy. Arizona is missing the left side of their line, of their offensive line, which is not good against this Houston Texans defense. And then Walter Nolan, and I mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be out in this game, which is going to leave Michael Wilson as the clear guy, and Trey McBride, of course, in the passing game. And then on the defense side of the ball, the key one to keep an eye on is Walter Nolan, the rookie on the interior there, who is questionable right now after limited participation in practice all week. So we'll see if he plays, and if he does not play, this Arizona Cardinals defense, which already isn't great, they are not good at all without Walter Nolan, and so we'll see if he plays. That's even better in our case. But Houston Texans minus 9.5 for 3 units is the play.
All right. So you mentioned quite a few teams playing divisional games. Our next one is going to be a divisional game. We have a few teams playing potentially to clinch a playoff spot. That is not the case here. The Washington Commanders, with a loss, could sneak into the top 5 in the draft order. And currently the New York Giants, who think they found their franchise quarterback and franchise running back. We know that they have their franchise wide receiver and some really nice pieces on the defensive side of the ball. They are currently in the number 1 overall draft pick position, Josh. This is kind of one of those games where you look at both teams are probably going to fight hard, but the fan bases might not be the most upset if they come out with a loss on Sunday between the Commanders and the Giants here.
Yeah. No, that's funny. How you teed that up. Yeah, I agree, man. And so it's interesting too. You just mentioned the pieces that are on the defensive side of the ball for the New York Giants here, and how they have some promising pieces. Even with those promising pieces that they've had, man, this has just not been a good defense this year. They are struggling mightily. You could make the argument, as a bottom 3 defense in the league, which is pretty crazy to think when you have Brian Burns and on the roster, Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter. You have those guys on your roster. I digress, though. The play here is going to be over 46.5 for 3 units in this spot here. Listen, there's not going to be any Jaden Daniels playing in this game. It's going to be Marcus Mariota that doesn't, I'm okay with that. Marcus Mariota can still get it done in this spot against the New York Giants. The Washington Commanders are coming off of a really difficult loss against the Minnesota Vikings, got absolutely blown out. Really interesting stat that I saw last week after the Minnesota Vikings got absolutely decimated the week before and were shut out. That is now applies to the Washington Commanders. In the last 10 years, teams that were shut out in their previous game are 34-17-3 against the spread. And they're also this season 4-0 against the spread. So if you're talking about a team that gets is shut out the week before, typically they're in line for some sort of a bounce back spot. Of course, we're not taking a side here, but that would, at least history would tell you, that the offense should kind of find its footing once again in the week coming off of that. Marcus Mariota obviously went in last week in replacement of Jaden Daniels. It didn't fare very well against that Minnesota Vikings defense, which we know is very aggressive. It can be a good defense. The New York Giants, this is not the same defense that they're going to be going against this week. Obviously, you have Chris Rodriguez, who's playing some good ball right now. Zach Ertz is going to be hurt, but I also recommend people, if you're a fantasy player, keep an eye on Ben Sinnott. That is a potential, especially if you're in dynasty leagues. I assume he's probably picked up in a lot of dynasty leagues, but if he is not, I'll absolutely recommend people go take a look for him. Anyway, we're out here giving fantasy advice on the fly here, man. Terry McLaurin is, like I mentioned, is healthy here, but the point being that the weapons here are enough, along with Deebo Samuel, for this Washington Commanders team, that I don't worry about their ability to move the ball. And then on the other side, the New York Giants with Jackson Dart, they are able to move the football still. Wan'Dale Robinson's getting a ton of looks these days, along with Theo Johnson. You obviously have Darius Slayton, who's making plays, and then Tyrone Tracy comes back this week, I believe, along with Devin Singletary. And so you have a little bit healthier of a New York Giants squad as well. This is one of those, you have the Washington Commanders and New York Giants who, quite frankly, these are just two bad defenses, and it doesn't really matter what they're doing here. They're just, it's bad ball on both sides of these defenses. So it's kind of tough. And we have two quarterbacks that I trust in this spot. And so the last thing that I'll kind of mention here with this game is that Marcus Mariota, the one piece of concern, if you would have, is that Marcus Mariota in December for his career, there is a drop off and I'm not sure if that is necessarily dating back to because of just him playing with the Tennessee Titans those days, and it just happens to be a coincidence that they're getting blown out from those days and his career numbers are a little bit skewed, or if that's a Marcus Mariota problem. Obviously, we know he's from Hawaii. He's and played in Oregon. Potentially, people will call him more of a fair weather quarterback. Potentially, his numbers in September are certainly better than his numbers in December. If there's one reason for concern, it would be Mariota. You could make the argument for him in the cold, and they're obviously going to be at MetLife, and it's going to expect it to be a little bit chilly. Not super cold, but chilly for sure on Sunday. It's not enough for me to kind of sway my decision in this game. And so I still think that we're going to see two offenses here have their way, move the ball with ease. One last piece of fantasy advice. I mean, if you got Marcus Mariota and Jackson Dart, I think those are two pretty strong plays this weekend. So fire away, load them up, start them, get in your starting lineup. We got first week of fantasy playoffs, man. But other than that, over 46.5 for 3 units is the play.
Well, you get 2 bets and a little bit of fantasy advice there from Mr. Josh Frey-Sam, folks. He's doing it all. And you can also catch a little plug for him in his Back Bacon Brief. He's been pumping out a bunch of fantasy football content. So keep it locked on there on his social medias as well, folks. Those are our 2 plays. Houston Texans -9.5 for 3 units, and the Washington Commanders, New York Giants over 46.5 for 3 units. 2 plays, 6 units. Some more to come on X. So keep it locked there. Keep it locked in the newsletter. And that'll do it for our week 15 best bet show. 3 more weeks of this. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. We're gearing up for playoffs, and we appreciate your folks' support. We'll see you right here next week.
Yes, sir.